New Mexico CannaCast. Everything New Mexico, everything cannabis.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode, or this week's episode of the New Mexico CannaCast. We have a guest with you, but before we get into that, I'm going to actually introduce you to our other co-host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just a dude on the CannaCast, kicking it in Las Cruces again, as you can see. Too much fun, not enough time. But all great things going on. So New Mexico CannaCast here. We're gonna, I'll have all kinds of conversation, and we even got some paper. We got some notes. We're gonna hold it together today. Yes.
Got papers.
And if you guys have noticed, we have a guest with us, Justin Trowbridge. I think I said that right. He's with us.
First person in a long time.
I'm sure they want to say Trowbridge, right? Yeah. Fair enough. I want to make sure I said that right. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Justin Trowbridge. I'm up in Santa Fe, but I'm the state director for the Industrial Hemp Coalition. I'm a guy that represents Wilfred hemp and cannabis down here. I got a bunch of different hats, but those are the quick, two easy ones. So
nice. Well, I appreciate you being on the show and everything. I know we met over at the Lucky Leaf Expo, over at the Mixer afterwards at a sister bar and everything. That was really cool. And the way we met and everything was kind of a surprise, but that was really cool. I was really glad to meet you guys because I actually got to go on the radio show today very briefly and kind of talk more. And I'm sure we'll be able to touch base and kind of collaborate again more on that.
Definitely.
Well, heck, we're gonna get into it.
Yeah,
all the good fun stuff, right?
Right.
Get into it. Yes. Here you go. I'll give you the paper.
Oh yeah. I can't read your handwriting. So first off, we're gonna talk about Costa Rica. So
Costa Rica
actually took a trip down to Costa Rica. So go ahead and tell us about that. I mean, I didn't even know you went.
Tell us more. Yes, would you like?
Yes. So I've got a couple buddies, Dan O'Brien and Cree Crawford out of Texas, and they were the two people that the country of Costa Rica came to and said, help us figure out what hemp and cannabis is going to look like in Costa Rica. So they put on the first ever Cannabis Science and Industry Congress in Costa Rica, and they had speakers from Peru and Colombia, the United States, all over the place, Ireland, everything. And so they're like, hey man, we need somebody to produce this thing. Can you come down there? And I'm like, I'm not a producer, but I can do podcast stuff. So yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. So they flew me down to Costa Rica. We're down there and we met with like the vice ministers of agriculture, the people that are going to be growing down there, the people that had been growing as part of a government trial. And what was really cool was they said, look, we don't know what the hell we're doing with cannabis and hemp. So you guys know what you're doing as an industry. Tell us where you screwed up and how we can make this work the first time out of the gate. So they're doing everything. They just passed it, I think yesterday or the day before, with medical cannabis. And then they also had in the language therapeutic cannabis. So that's an interesting way of saying, I'm down there for cheap dental surgery and I don't want to take opioids because I'm worried about the addiction problem. Maybe I'll just take some therapeutic cannabis. So it's this weird gray area that I don't think they fully defined yet, but they're going to have 4 to 5 crops a year and they're going to legally export hemp and cannabis out of Costa Rica.
Ooh, nice.
It is going to be mind blowing what that country will do.
Wow. No, that's cool. It's funny you say that. New Mexico at one time was looking at on the medical side to have a wellness, right? So if would it make you cannabis make you feel a little better and give you wellness in your life? Did you have a stressful day? You need some wellness, So yeah, that's an interesting spin on the what is really therapeutic, right? I need to go to the beach in Costa Rica and need to add therapy to it, right? I need something therapeutic.
Yeah. I'm stressed out from TSA giving me the full pat down, so I need some therapeutic results when I get back down there. So they're still figuring it out what it's going to look like for tourists and all that, but they lost so much money with COVID that they had to find something and they turned to hemp and cannabis. So it's really cool.
That's awesome that you're a part of it, that you know what I mean, and that you're enlightening us and everybody else on the podcast and here in New Mexico, especially on it. That's great, man. That's awesome stuff. Yeah, and then I know you're pretty humble because I know you like you got a lot of hats, you said. So I know you got a lot going on. We've been talking a little bit. Yeah, and you just keep surprising me. So that's all. Yeah. I'm like, all right. What else you got going on? Oh, yeah. Okay.
What else do you need to know? Yeah.
I woke up this morning just thinking you're a podcast guy.
What did you say? Podcast or podcast?
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Is that the gray area between both?
Yeah, no. So I am technically the hemp guy for the Waxy Brown Flower Power Hour, which Chad was on today, which was very cool that you jumped on like that. Because it's so Waxy is the first FM dial cannabis talk show in the country that we know of. And he live streams to about 70,000 people around the world at this point. But Waxy was someone who got caught handing someone half of a pre-roll at a concert, basically, and ended up spending time in jail for distribution. I mean, it didn't hurt that he had 2 pounds on him at the time, but it's a different story.
Right.
But they kept reducing his bond, and he kept denying it out of protest. So he spent 265 days in jail, and they're like, "Look, just get out, bond out." And he goes, "No, not until it's decriminalized." So he ends up getting out of jail, and he runs for city council, and he gets on the city council.
Yeah.
And he figures out the game on how their election structure works. So he got 10 of his buddies on the city council with him, and they decriminalized up to an ounce of cannabis in Missouri.
Bravo.
Love it.
Yes.
I would like to
love
mention,
that.
I believe he's a vet also, correct?
Yeah, he's a Navy combat photographer he's 40% disabled and is a heavy cannabis user. But it's somebody where he's like the Robin Hood of cannabis in Missouri. And I brought him down here. I was like, "You got to come to Lucky Leaf. Got to come down here."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, it's Albuquerque. It's not a meth town." I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
Breaking Bad is, what I mean? That's what people think. They're like
Yeah.
in Albuquerque, and yeah. So that,
I'm not gonna lie. There was blue rock candy from the Breaking Bad store in the Airbnb when these two guys got done driving 13 hours. I had to do it.
Surprising a little bit, right?
You're like, you asked for it.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I met both you guys. We're at that bar, and I'm walking out just to get some air because I'm like, I don't want to be around all these people. I hate tight spaces. I mean, I'm a little guy. I'm 6'3", and I'm walking out, and I look over. I'm like, I think I know that guy. That's Chad. And I walked over, and I'm like, are you guys the podcast guys? And Chad's looking at me like, "Yes. Why?" Like, and I was like, "I know who you guys are. I'm a fan." And they're like, "Oh." So, but yeah, we'll definitely have you guys on quite a bit more with the show and all that, especially with all the things that are going on in New Mexico. There's a lot of eyes on New Mexico with what our rec program or adult use program is going to look like.
Yeah.
And it's cool to have a voice and to do what you guys do. So thank you for what you're doing on behalf of everybody else in the country that's watching this.
No. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you. So all right. So coming in here, from outside, what do you think our rec program kind of looks like? And the first days, right? We're 23 days out, correct? I believe my math, if I can still add right. 23 days out
At the time of recording.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you watch this after April 1st, you might have hit it real good. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you're like, ooh, maybe that stuff was hot.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Like you know what I mean? Coming in, you know what I mean? You live in Santa Fe and everything, and so you kind of jumped in the community and what's going on and whatnot. So what just give me your your 2 cents or your forecast or whatnot on this side of things. And what do you think New Mexico did right, and what do you think they can improve on maybe?
Well, so the things that I've seen that New Mexico's done right are looking at the industry and looking what other states have done and where they've failed. Having reciprocity for medical cards, that's huge, right? I mean, that's especially when the bulk of our industry down here is tourism. So I had 2 guys from Missouri with 2 medical cards come in. We went to a dispensary because I wanted to show them what a New Mexico dispensary looked like. 5-minute process. They had their access. I don't have my medical card yet because of residency status and and legalization, 30 days away. So screw it. But, they got in there and they were seeing things. They were expecting a very underdeveloped market, and what they found blew them away.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, this is a really good market. There's lots of concentrates. There's multiple brands. I mean, it's not as fleshed out as like a Colorado or Oregon might be, but it's still not recreational use or adult use. And I go back and forth because depending on where you talk to somebody, some people say adult use, some people say rec use. And so it's this weird vernacular you got to learn when you're in the industry. But so for a tourist, I'm in Santa Fe. So it's the land of the black SUV with the Texas plate that's blocking traffic.
Yeah.
That's us, or it's the Toyota Prius with the California plate that's blocking traffic. So we know there are plenty of people from states that want to use that. And then you start looking at all the beautiful nature things that New Mexico has to offer, and all the places you can go and experience things and all that. And every time I look around Santa Fe, it's all people that are children of the 60s. You know, they were at Woodstock because they're 90 or however old those people are now, you know. But I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, this place is going to blow up when they hit recreational use, because anyone who's afraid that the government's going to track them with a chip in their head because of a medical card is just going to go nuts. So my guess is that it's 24 hours before we run out, and it's not because of product, it's because of just human nature and lines. And it's going to be like walking into Walmart, there's the guy that stands there in the air conditioning, just it's like, dude, I got to get some milk, like, get out of my way. It's going to be that bottleneck of people that are just the first time buyers, that a dispensary is going to blow their minds. So that'll slow it down. If it was like a drive-through, like pre-order, pick it up, I'm more like 4 to 6 hours, but I think 24 is a pretty reasonable number. But the other thing New Mexico did was they wrote into law some things that'll help not only our water system with the water rights that we have with everybody who grows down here has to prove water rights, but they allowed an open border into Oklahoma. So I'm working with people in Oklahoma we figured out the legal way to transport product from Oklahoma into New Mexico, get it into BioTrack, and get it to dispensaries. So we're going to try and backfill that number. So my 24 hours hopefully includes us bringing in product to backstock some of these dispensaries are going to run out. So it'll be a wild ride for sure. But this state, I think, is just going to set a new standard on what it could look like for legal product down here.
Yeah, because Oklahoma, right? When I was in Oklahoma, I believe they have it, as long as the governors reach some agreement or state to state agreement, everything's cherry, huh? So no, that'll be interesting. Like, that's great to hear that y'all are on the, you know what I mean, on the cutting edge of that. So yeah, because you know what I mean, more access, more product for more people is just better in the long run. And especially right, we know it's going to be mad crazy for the first 6 months, easy, and then
And I'm more worried about like medical patients, right? So if I'm somebody that takes medical cannabis because it's the only way I can operate, if you have a drought because the rec market just took all the product, then you have patients that can't get their medicine, and that's scary, right? Because you need to find a way to get those people medication, because I mean it's truly life or death at that point. So that's where being a guy that's in the hemp side of the business too kind of plays in, because if I can't get my medical cannabis, I have alternatives somewhere else. So and safe alternatives.
Right.
Because you're definitely blowing on mine earlier about some other THC products that I mean, it's funny, I've heard them twice today from 2 different people. Though that's that, but it's the first time I've ever heard them. I was like, oh, and then I hear it again. I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? You're just like, man, I definitely missed the entire memo. It's interesting. I mean, that's out there. You know what I mean? Different products and stuff. To me, it blows my mind. Like I said, you know, me, I just drove straight. I just love growing.
Were you on your high horse before that?
The high horse. So
yeah, my prediction. I'm predicting 36 hours. That's been my prediction for a while. I'm sticking with it. I've said before, it's a very generous prediction. Josh is predicting. I'll let him.
Yeah. I say 6 hours, and I'm gonna do some math a little later. I'm gonna break it down to how many dispensaries there are, how many just pounds they maybe could throw down, because you know, so far I haven't seen that much on the wholesale market. That's been a very bare path, and that's all the cannabis that they can get right now for, you know, and there's plenty of retail. Well, Chad knows you've been hit up like 3 different times already for retail market people looking for, you know, and that's another whole different story. There's a lot of people who are very uneducated about the retail side, and was like, oh yeah, we'll get that with Costco, right? We get that Sam's Club, right? I got the card. No,
you don't want gas station cannabis. Just don't buy that ever. Like that is the worst option out there.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right, public service announcement, everybody.
Yeah,
gas station cannabis, bad. So all right. So what else? We got Missouri talking about. They have a unique thing going on, right? They got some kind of legal production-ish caregiver program kind of going on. I mean,
So
I'm keeping it very vague because it seems very, very, very rounded.
yeah. Missouri's a weird state. So they not only they're a Second Amendment sanctuary state, so you can legally own a machine gun without going through the federal government, Missouri. Very weird part of the world.
I tell you what,
right?
I know where I'm going to get a vacation from now. I need residency there.
Yeah.
But you can talk about where the nice places are because I definitely want to go check that out.
But yeah, I mean, so like Weston, Missouri used to be the #1 hemp port in the planet at one point. And then when they did prohibition, they started growing tobacco. So the whole industry shifted back and forth. But so Missouri's got a great reputation and history with the plant. And so when they wrote their medical laws, it's you can grow 18 plants as a medical cannabis user, and then you can have 3 patients or caregivers beyond that. So, and I can grow 18 plants for 3 other people. So you're talking about a home grow for medical consumption that is under 100 plants, but is just this giant industry. And they have like 180,000 people that have medical licenses in Missouri, and the home grow market, they don't even really track. You apply for the license and you just go for it, and then it's good to go. So they were working on a program where if I have extra product with an L, I can donate it to a veteran that needs medicine.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not going through testing and certification to get a COA and to verify it's not harmful chemicals and all that stuff. So that's the snag they're working through right now. But there are a lot of labs that are stepping up where they're going to do potency testing just to make it a viable product to be able to donate to a veteran who might be dealing with PTSD or tinnitus or any of the things that the cannabis can help with. So it's a cool program. I hope it catches on, and I hope it's a model for other states. But for Missouri, they're working hard on it, but they're doing all kinds of cool stuff down there. So
that's wonderful. I know the veterans here fought for stuff like that. The program, the medical program we had here, was so restrictive that it was really hard. Nobody was going to give anything away for free for them. You know what I mean? Unless it was patients doing it, whatnot. And then that's why gifting happened because, it was keeping compassion. So, like the program there with the caregivers, it sounds like a wonderful situation. Is there gifting in Missouri?
I'm not aware of it yet because they still view that as distribution or manufacturing of narcotics. So it's a weird state when it comes to that kind of stuff, but it's also where you can push a lot of things. So they have Republican and Democratic people in their Senate and Congress even that are pushing for psychedelics, like legal psychedelics, like ayahuasca and peyote and psilocybin, you name it. They're pushing for that. It's like, what state does? I mean, I came from Nebraska, where our governor's in Rolling Stone magazine saying cannabis kills kids, and then here's the state that we kind of look down on, like, yeah, Missouri, whatever, and they're like, yeah, let's do peyote.
All right, let's be honest. People are going to do all that stuff, right? People go down to South America to do the ayahuasca, you know what I mean, with the shamans and the whole 9 yards. So if they could legally do that somewhere here in the United States with maybe, the direction of some kind of medical thing, maybe, though the side effects of it just in case it's too much, I think it'd be safer.
Big time.
I think, as crazy as it sounds, and that's the thing. 20 years ago, I'd have told myself, "No, you're wrong, Josh." But about with all that stuff, with the mushrooms and everything and all that, I believe there's a place for it. There's microdosing. I have personally, microdose mushrooms for depression and anxiety stuff. Pretty much depression, and it worked fabulously. And so I mean, anybody that has any issues like that, I ask, look into it. Is all I can tell you. You don't have to do it. Look into the information. It might be good for you. It might be totally wrong, but just. So that's cool though that they're throwing that down. Because New Mexico, you're allowed to legally grow mushrooms here. You just can't have. They can't be dry. Is the problem. That's we have a gray area.
Can't be dry.
It's a little bit of a gray area. So you can harvest them, but you can't dry them, which turns into manufacturing. So
I just haven't watered them in 3 months. So sorry. It's just I'm a bad grower.
I got busy. Things happen. I don't know.
And that's what happened with them. I guess I'm good to a certain point.
Yeah.
I figured there's mushrooms. I put them in the pizza sauce.
Well, It's like Delaware has the most hemp licenses out of any state in the country. And what's funny is the reason why they do that, it's like 40,000 people, but it's because they don't have a destruction order if you grow hot hemp. So yeah, so all these people are hemp growers that just happen to grow like 28% THC hemp that they can't sell.
Look at the box at 28% CBD.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's CBD instead of THC. I got my letters mixed up. My bad. And so
good for them.
Yeah.
Good Delaware, good for you.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but yeah, I mean that's all cool, man. I'm glad you guys are kind of going that route. And do you guys have a legalization bill in or anything right now going on, or is it just straight medical right now?
No, they're working on the legalization side of it. That's actually where Tim Harms and Waxy Brown, or Daniel Jones, as you know, they were at the Capitol building today. That's why they were a little tired during the show this afternoon. But they, they were up lobbying for it. And then, for anyone who doesn't know who Waxy is, I mean, he is a deadhead. So he's got the long hair and the bandanas, the tie dyes and all that. And he walks into the Capitol building with that. And then he has really deep conversations with like state senators who are like whatever, stoner. He's like, no. With legislation law number 4827, section B, article 4. And it's like, their heads explode. They're like, this guy's supposed to be like, okay, man. And then just walk off. And he's just like super intense on it. Like that guy. So
yeah, exactly.
Surprises them. Yeah. Cause he does. I mean, when you look at him, he looks straight stoner.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Totally.
yeah. So I could see that from being myself, with experience being in the Capitol and being around, and I've grown up in a very conservative county. When I was growing up, like I said, I was a devil's lettuce guy. I beat one of my best friends.
Yep.
Smoking it at 17, all that stuff. So I've been there on that side. So I understand how they definitely see that, and it would surprise them when they're like, this dude's kind of intelligent, instead of, hey man, what you doing, dude?
Yeah. I mean, he breaks down some walls with that, and it's a tool he uses, and it works well for him. I don't think it worked well for me, but I mean, we all come at it with different angles, and as long as people are listening and accepting the education that's being offered, it doesn't matter what you look like, as long as it's good info.
Oh yeah, no, and like I said, multiple angles and stuff. You'll reach multiple people in different ways. There's no telling what angle is going to break that, that ice, that stigma or something. How it's going to identify with them personally. How they perceive it. Like there's just so many variances, and as human beings and stuff, and especially emotions and everything else. So yeah. And cannabis is very emotional for a lot of people, because it is medicine for people. And usually, if you've been in the cannabis industry and the hemp industry for very long, you probably have a very emotional story, right? Something that's very touching, and that's everybody I've met in the industry. It gives me chills to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because it is like, when you spend enough time in this industry, compassionately, of course, you know what I mean. There's plenty of the other guys we won't talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, compassionately, you run into this, and you get to have really cool stories and memories and stuff of, even if it comes out not great, there's always positive memories out of there, the quality of life and stuff. Like we were talking earlier about my grandmother and stuff. Her quality of life was fantastic.
Yeah.
With cannabis, and it was just because she was open-minded enough to try. And her reason, she didn't want to hurt anymore. She like all the pain, she didn't want to take all the meds and stuff. And then she tried cannabis, and she just couldn't believe what it did. So it was So I think
you're 100% right. I mean, that's something where it's a strong enough thing for normalizing cannabis use that when we built the Waxy Brown Flower Power website, we put your path to cannabis in there as something people could submit their own stories like that. And, some of them are funny. It's like, I was in college and my buddy handed me something. I thought it was a cigarette, and I smoked it, and it turned out it was weed. Other stuff is like turns out I had metastatic breast cancer and had to do chemo, and someone gave me Delta 8 gummies to try to help with the chemo, and it saved my life. And so there's this weird mix of like comedy and like just heart-wrenching stories and these beautiful moments of friends saving friends' lives and stuff like that. So it's something where the more we normalize that kind of conversation, the more people will be like, okay, this isn't going to make me schizophrenic and rip my face off and go howl at the moon like a crazy person from Reefer Madness. It's going to save someone's life potentially. So it's very cool.
No, I agree. It's funny you say that. I'm working with some clients right now, and they're both veterans. And one of them, he's 20 years, Marine vet. and the company's called The Memo, and it's because he didn't get the memo. Cannabis was good for him, and so it's funny because I think of Kyle and Ivy, they're the owners of that company, micro license in Cuba, and that's why they named the company that, though. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, it's funny, like it says, some people don't know, and when it does, it because it's changed his life, and and so yeah, I love that aspect of it. We talk about recreational a lot. We were talking about we're running out or whatnot, and then we have to talk about the patients. What are the patients going to do and everything? Yeah. So that's why I suggest everybody grow, right? And check for males. Everybody help each other's neighbors. Check for males. Do not pollinate the down neighbor. That's bad stuff. And then, just go on the compassion side of it, guys. Like, it's going to be, the medical market will be thin, and it's going to be sad, right? So anywhere anybody can help on the compassion side to help less people suffer and be able to grow in your backyard or do whatnot. I mean, ask questions on the cast. We'll get more stuff on there if people want to know more about it, or we'll get step by step with growers, from outdoors, whatever we got to do. I mean, to get people to grow to their own cannabis, to make their own medicine. People, I know there's clones out there running around. There's going to be more clones going on. So there's definitely different genetics out there, the different cannabinoids. So that's one way I believe we can combat the issue for medical patients. I think to me, it's just the fastest one, and it'll happen now. Well,
and the plant teaches us the best way that cannabis works is with the entourage effect, right? Yeah. So it's not just Delta-9 THC, it's the CBD, it's the CBG, the CBN, all the other little minor, acronyms that are out there. So treat the industry the same way. That's where a lot of what Waxy and I will do with the business model is we collaborate with people, because I'm an expert in what I do. You guys are experts in what you do. And there's 3 other people that might watch this podcast that if the 5 of us came together, all of a sudden we've got like the most amazing thing that the world's ever seen. But if we don't collaborate and we don't support one another and we don't stay in our lanes, that's the other side of it, right? I mean, some people are like, well, this is mine now, go away. It's like, no. Like, there's plenty of room for all of us to make a lot of money together, plenty of room for all of us to change this industry for the better or even for the worse, let's be honest. But, when you bring multiple people to the table, you have more success. And that's all you can ask for with this industry.
No, you're 100% right. You're preaching to the choir. We met at the Leafy, the Lucky Leaf Expo. There'll be another one in October, which is cool. But yeah, since we got back to, I drove straight back down to Las Cruces, and that's all we've been doing is meeting different business owners, different, politicians, people in the rule making thing, just to help, to get more of it out there. Because I'm with you. The pie is so big. There's so much to be had. There's no reason to anybody to get selfish or anything else. And just stay in your lane, do what you do, grind it out, and there's going to be plenty for everybody. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like I said, we talk about Little Dubai and Sunland, and we'll keep everybody updated on that. It just keeps getting crazier. It really does.
I had to look up Little Dubai on Google Maps because I'm like, where the hell is Little Dubai? And I'm like,
well, it's a term that's it's brand new.
I get it now, but I'm like,
but when
Little Dubai in New Mexico? What?
Yeah. When we tell them where it's at, they go, oh.
How do we start doing it? You Google it and put like, I'm in Little Dubai Market or something. I will.
Yeah. Check in on Facebook.
Yeah, it's gonna end up. That area is gonna end up being called Dubai.
I will do it. I will do it at the Grow over there, at the Entertainment Center or something. Yeah, I will. I will Little Dubai mark that place. Whatever, everything, Snapchat, whatever stuff we need to.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Little Dubai.
Yeah. So. Hashtag make Little Dubai real.
Yeah, right. There we go. Hashtag. That's it. All right, we got a plan. We're gonna execute the plan. Hashtag. Yeah. Exactly. No. So no, that's it's gonna be interesting. We have 23 days. Oh my God! Like we're in the home stretch. I seen Carver Family Farms harvested. You know what I mean? They're a micro license. You know what I mean? Yes. Brian's Green.
They might just have enough, and they might have some in time.
No, yeah. Well, they should. I mean, if they harvest now, just 3 weeks. Yeah. I mean, they'll be cutting it way close, but
right there.
Hopefully, everything gets down. I bet they get it done with at least a week after, right?
Yeah.
They might be the only people having cannabis on second week. I don't know. I mean, that might be the spot.
Timing this market is going to be really interesting because when you harvest, how long does it take you to process it into whatever you're selling it as, and then when can you get it into the system? I mean, it'll be weird.
It will be. But one thing I wanted to end the show with is you had something you wanted to share with us and everybody else too, and I don't want to like spoil it, but go ahead and share.
Are we talking about this?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead and share everybody what that is.
So one of the brands that Waxy and I represent is Wilfred brand hemp and cannabis. And so Wilfred, Jason Gann, the guy that was in the FX series with Elijah Wood, where the guy, I mean, it's kind of a dark subject matter, but the guy tried to kill himself by overdosing, and he comes to the next day and the neighbor's dog can talk to him and appears as Wilfred, which is an Australian actor in a dog suit. And he did I forget how many seasons it was, but he did quite a few of them, and he had so many fans that were stoners that came up and were like, dude, talking about my depression, talking about my mental illness, talking about this, you saved my life. And so Jason, the guy that runs this company and the actor, he said, you know what, I'm going to do something about that. And so he started making a hemp line, which is CBD cigarettes. There's Delta 8 blunts. They're 100 milligrams per blunt, by the way, so they're pretty stout. Yeah. And then he's got diamond saw. He's got all kinds of products. And then on the cannabis side of it, he does hybrid, sativa, indica. He does some other stuff as well. But we're working to bring these products into New Mexico. So we're actively working with a couple different dispensary chains to bring Wilfred brand products in. You know, I'll try and get Jason to jump on the podcast with you guys to talk about it, because he's a cool cat to know. And it's kind of weird because the first call I ever had with him, I said, you know, I always learn you never meet your heroes. And because they're always bigger in your head than what you think they are. And then when you meet them, it's like, this is a regular guy that, you know, smokes a lot of cigarettes and swears. You know, it's like, I don't like that. You know, you're supposed to be this whatever. But that's not Jason. Jason is the guy that he goes, I've been wearing this damn dog suit for 8 years because it means something to the people who love the show. Yeah. And as long as it makes an impact in somebody's life, I'm going to keep wearing this damn dog suit.
Man,
I mean, he's that
awesome.
guy.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, so we've got the hemp stuff coming in shortly. We can order now. The cannabis stuff, we're ramping up production now. We'll bring that into the state here shortly. So if anybody wants to carry Wilfred brand hemp and CBD, we can do that right away. If they want to carry Wilfred brand cannabis stuff, we can bring that in probably within the next month. So
okay,
it'll be really cool.
I mean, I guess we'll get links and put by the show and stuff for your contact, if that's cool, or whatever, how to contact you and everything too. You know, so, you know, to get it out there, you know, help as many people as you can with what's going on in the world, right? Like here anyways. I think
those Delta 8 blunts, they're not to be messed with, man. I had one the first night I was down for Lucky Leaf, and I'm just like, well, that's a little more intense than I was expecting, and had a lovely night sleep that night. So
right,
yeah.
Well, at least you got a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And speaking of good night, guys, that's all we have for the rest of the show. I want to thank Justin for joining us today, Trowbridge for joining us, and thank you again for having me on the radio show today. That was great. We'll have to get Waxy Brown on here, and hopefully we can get Wilfred on here as well at some point. So
and we'll get Josh on there too, so he's not left out.
There we go.
Okay, Josh yeah. I was in a meeting today doing some other, like, it has been
sure.
In the world. Yeah.
Sure.
I promise. The Hawthorne people know. You can ask them. I was there. I signed in.
All right, guys. So remember, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Rate us on Spotify, and we'll see you next week. And everything New Mexico, everything cannabis. We'll see you guys.